friendly school, which is basically like D2.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they're going to come out, they're going to be aggressive, they're going to blitz, but I just don't think they're going to score enough to stay with Cal.
No, and I think Blaisdell knows. I mean, they're San Diego State at this point. They're an 8 to 9, or they're a 7 to 9 win team every year. In certain years, they might rise up and beat Boise or beat, win. They have a chance to win the conference, but they're still on that kind of where NIU's been, where NIU's taken more of a step probably because of a worse conference. But I think San Diego State's still on that. When they play at Cal, they're probably pissed they didn't play you 2 years ago, and now they're playing you where you got talent, you're loaded, and you know what you're doing. Where 2 years ago they might have gotten you. Now it's like, how are we going to score? How are you going to score 40 points? Because they're going to score 40 points. That's the fun part about Cal. I know it's a much different. Rooting for a team that plays runs the ball and plays defense, but it has to be exciting to watch your team play offense. It just has to be terrifying to watch your team play defense for the most part. So hopefully that changes here in the short term.
A little more talent there, but there's going to be some Pac-12 teams that do score 35 here and there. It's not all going to come back at once, but at least it's coming back.
Outright upset of the week. It's a small underdog, and they had a bad week one, but the Pirate, one of my favorites, Mike Leach, Washington State at Rutgers, they're only getting a couple points, but he's a pretty good coach. So they had a bad week one, but I've seen many times where he's had a stinker, and then the next week you think they're going to get crushed, and he comes back and they either beat somebody or almost beat somebody. I just think that Rutgers now, I mean, they beat a 1AA, they beat Norfolk or whoever it was, but now having to play an actual team with talent, the 5 guys that get kicked off the team, the stench of the coach and everything, I think the first team that kind of pushed them is going to get them. And I just don't think, last year they beat them 41, Rutgers beat them 41-38. I don't think Rutgers is scoring 41 points on them this time. I don't think, I put in the MEP'S this week that Leach is probably not allowed them to hang out with their fat little girlfriends this week.
Well, I was going to ask you, are there little girlfriends in Pullman, or are those only in
That's the thing, they're away from all their fat little girlfriends, so that should help clear some of that up. But I'm excited about Notre Dame coming. It's going to be, we're going to have 60,000 people here. I'm not excited for this fact from the UVA purpose that there's going to be a lot of Notre Dame fans here, and I don't think our fan base really grasped that concept. Especially because I was pretty impressed last night that there wasn't as many Buckeyes fans in Blacksburg as I thought. I think the Monday night probably screws a lot of that up with how much somebody's willing to spend to have to be gone for another travel. But I think Notre Dame looked good and Texas looks bad. So I'm not too excited. I'm not thinking I told you guys that they're going to be this good. And losing Folston sucks because he's a great pass blocker. He's a smart runner. He doesn't fumble. And but they use talent there. Running back's one of the positions that you got 7 guys who can play running back. And I think it'll be a better game than people think for at least the first 3 quarters. But the same thing happened last week, and it's been driving me nuts for a couple of years. We just can't, Virginia can't get inside the 20 and play, don't screw up, let's make sure we kick a field goal. And that 3rd and 2, I think it was, when it was it 14-6 at the time maybe or something. Just go to the end zone once, and if not, and it's 4th and 2, you're down by 8. I understand the conventional wisdom is kick the field goal, get down by 5, stay in the game. And I know you were a fan of that too, but watching us for the handful of years, we got to take the chance to get points when they're there, because we're not going to drive 80 yards every time and score. We're not going to score 30 points a game. I think we have to be more aggressive when we have chances.
Well, you're on the road against UCLA.
Yeah.
They have a little more talent than Virginia does. You have to play to win, and that doesn't
That's
mean
my
that you
point.
be stupid,
That's
but you're going to have to take some chances.
Mm-hmm.
This just playing it tight and trying to win 19-16 against teams like UCLA and Notre Dame, it's not going to work.
It works if we're playing at Pittsburgh this year, and you're down 14-6 to Pittsburgh. Sure, kick the field goal because they might not score 20 points. But and this week was actually when I was looking at the schedule, and you're not expected to win this week. I think Notre Dame's only 10.5-point favorites, but I didn't pick that as a top pick out of respect for my profession. Is that Leslie? Hi, Leslie.
Yeah.
Shout out to Leslie. Shout out to the little one.
Yeah.
Is she doing the money sign?
She's not.
Is she making it? Is she making it rain?
She's not. But the real question is the next one going to do the money sign?
Oh, are you serious?
Very serious.
Oh, congratulations! Look at me.
First.
I was gonna say we're breaking news here. That's awesome, man.
Say hi to the MEP'S.
She clearly buyer beware. She was not happy with the performance in week 1.
Last week's
hey,
news.
congratulations! That's incredible, man. That's awesome. I'm really pumped, and hopefully I will find a way. This is the first time I haven't been out in California at any point in a year since 2003, I believe. Which is, I know, disappointing. I'm not ruling out a impromptu Vegas trip. There is a chance, and I'm looking at you, Madej brothers and Brant and the Weatherman. I know you guys want to go back to Vegas for no reason, let alone if we have.
I'm glad that Friedland said his name last week because this whole year I've been calling it Mayday, and I'm glad I didn't do that on camera.
Hey,
so,
I know the young Husky Wolfpack. I know they watched the video. I'm hoping to get a couple of them on this year. I'm happy that we're able to bring you on. We don't have a West Coast presence very often. I know Blaisdell pays attention. I know James probably deletes the email the second he gets it, or he's got him in some sort of don't read Bobby's email junk file, even regardless of what it is. So I'm happy that you're able to come on. I was talking before we get going. Ohio State's got Hawaii with Max Whittick. That's going to be ugly. Then they got us and the Broncos coming to town. Do any of those games stay within 35 points? Maybe. Exactly.
No.
We summed it up into that Ohio State's probably going to score 50 plus on everybody that is outside of their conference. They'll have a couple stupid conference games like Illinois or somebody that it'll be a close game and you'll turn on the TV like how is it 28-24 in the fourth quarter, but they're going to drill the next couple teams. Before I go, I wanted to say I understand that people think like the Big Ten is back because Ohio State's really good because Ohio State basically has an SEC team now in their conference, and Michigan State's pretty good, and Wisconsin's a good program, though they didn't look so good on Saturday. But the biggest thing with that is none of them are going to have to beat each other. I mean, Michigan State and Ohio State play each other, sure. Wisconsin doesn't play either of them. So at the end of the year, you could have a couple 10, 11-win teams, 12-win teams in that conference with having to beat Purdue and Indiana and Iowa and Illinois and all those teams. So the fact that the poll came out this week with the SEC having 10 teams in it and one entire division, the fact that the Alabama, LSU, Auburn, all those teams have 6 ranked teams in their division currently, and Ohio State's playing one ranked team the entire year. I mean, that's just it's. Well, I understand. It's just
tired of the SEC getting ranked so high, and me included. But the bottom line is, it comes from a place that they deserve it.
Right.
And I mean, look at what the Pac-12 did this week.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Look at the Big Ten, and I mean, I do think in some, kind of in some instances, the SEC can get a little more credit.
Sure.
But in large part, year in and year out, it's deserved. And I'm not even an SEC fan.
No, and people take my fandom for the SEC the wrong way. It's not how much I love the SEC. I'm more just like in the ACC in basketball. I'm looking at the facts of the last 15, 20 years. They've had the most talent. They win the most championship. They produce the most NFL players. They win the biggest games. Last week when it was
the most money from boosters.
Exactly. They might cheat the most, but the NCAA kind of cheats all the kids anyways. You know what I mean? So, but last weekend, one of the most telling games I thought was A&M, beating up on Arizona State, and A&M kind of was not even they were playing 2 quarterbacks. They weren't even really dialed into who they are, and they took care of Arizona State, who's supposed to be maybe the South champion. So. What does that mean? I don't know. It's 1 week, but I just think that the Pac-12's got a lot. I think the Pac-12 has better top 5 or 6 than almost any conference. They're right there with the SEC, but they don't have Ohio State, so everybody equates that the Big Ten's back because now they have one true contender. But if that team doesn't get challenged at all year, it's hard to feel like that carries an entire conference. So. We'll have to see where it goes, but you got anything else?
Real quick, I tried to look up the line today. isn't this weekend Western Michigan, Georgia Southern?
Yes, Western Michigan is 4-point favorites at Georgia Southern.
Okay, so just speaking to the rest of the MEPs, I know they're largely Illinois people, mostly NIU grads or no?
A good majorities NIU grads. Obviously we have people from all over that have kind of spread to it, but the core of the group is NIU for sure.
Okay.
They're all very against PJ.
Okay, obviously huge Cal fan. Second favorite team is whoever's playing Western Michigan. So whatever the spread is, I'm taking Georgia Southern to stick the boat to 0-2.
I like it. And if that happens, I think they have a 1AA. What would they've lost to? I mean, they lost to 1AA 2 years ago, and then they have Ohio State. So they're 1-3 going into the MAC conference. I'm not sure how much of a favorite they'll be anymore. But the disrespect of NIU just never ends with the MAC. You know what I mean? And I know UNLV, Tony Sanchez, that was a good first showing. I mean, we didn't know what he was going to do, and they lit us up. And we couldn't get to the quarterback. And that makes me, like I said before, think we're probably going to give up 56 points to Ohio State. But if that's the game we lose, we lose. But in a couple weeks, be ready up in BC because we got some Huskies headed up there to play a bunch of dudes.
Dudes over here, dudes over there.
So I will get you out of here with your favorite jingle before we go. Just to send Chris out with his favorite. If you guys don't watch the Californian skits they've done on Saturday Night Live, spend a few minutes watching them. I'm not going to bore you with the details. So that's it. Week 2 in the books. MEP's top 7. Video is a little shorter this week, I hope. I don't know who we're going to have on next week. I'm pretty sure if Michigan State beats Oregon, Vuja's going to be knocking down everything in his path to get on the pick, the top 7 talk. But if Oregon wins, I don't think he's going to want to talk. So we'll have to see. Everybody, this is Chris Denise. He'll be if you see Cal do anything positive, cheer for him, and always root against PJ Fleck.